Hi, it would be so much easier for me to just go to the gym and go about my day and not focus on warmongering and fearmongering and just maintain my high spiritual vibration. But I said that I would use AI to continue helping to bring awareness of how it could be useful. So this came up on my YouTube feed yesterday. So I don't know if everyone's aware of this. I sure wouldn't have been had I not been on YouTube at the exact right time. So apparently, there's this thing with the current administration, and I'm not political, but I guess Biden allowed for something to happen where they just need to execute the cryptographic keys or the codes to be able to launch some type of attack into Russia on behalf of Ukraine. I don't even really understand all of that, so I'm not trying to be political. I'm just saying, like, I'm a veteran, right? And you'll see why I probably did not do that well in the military. However, I'm gonna show you how I used ChatGPT to just validate that I'm not crazy. That like it's not like Biden's fault. It's like the people on the ground that are exchanging the bricks. I mean, at least when you used aircraft, they were called bricks, right? And there's other whatever word you want to use to exchange the information. But I feel like when the Nazis performed acts and crimes against humanity, they were held responsible just as much as Hitler because it's not like Hitler himself was running all the camps, right? So there is such a thing as the Geneva Conventions. I'm talking about this being like I'm a veteran. Like I went through the training. I know that they teach you to obey orders, but they also teach you to remain lawful, right? So you still have to be discerning to know when it's an unlawful order. And I'm not claiming that it's an unlawful order because I'm not a JD that works for the DOD or anything like that. But I am saying that there's Darwinian, like events happening here. So if any of those troops cannot distinguish what sounds like a bad idea from following an order because they're trapped in mob mentality, well then like at some point we have to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna like not look outside and not participate in this. But I'm not participating for the excitement of promoting like fear because it gets clicks. Not at all. I'm saying like this is the way that I would use AI to help people understand like the consequences of individuals' actions and to start distancing from the next thing to blame. So it's really easy to blame, the that poor man Biden, right? Like, I mean, yeah, he's the existing president, but if I was the president of a company and then I had some type of traumatic event happen and I couldn't make sentences, like I don't think that I would be getting to make decisions that could erase my company, right? Like it doesn't make sense. And even if I was, like I would expect the people around me to kind of step in and not do what I said just because I said it. And then I would expect anybody that knew me to not blame me, to ask the people that went and executed these things like without using, I can't call it common sense because it's almost uncommon sense because it is really hard to undo the brainwashing that you go through when you wake up like in the Navy. Like the first announcement every day was we are in the business of KILLING, and I'm using that because I don't want to get banned by YouTube. But so I'm gonna stop like going on about me. I'm gonna like use AI to show you how it's easier to find discernment. And sure, I could have asked the question differently, but I'm not on purpose because this is the question. This is like the day that people decide, right? This is one of those kind of countdowns where it's like, I want to go to the gym and just enjoy my day, and I'm going back to work soon, so I want to get to do fun stuff. But can I look at the person in the mirror and and I said I was gonna step up and like use AI to kind of just bring awareness about how spirit meets science. And this is probably one of the most like goosebump feeling moments where I'm just like somebody needs to let people know, right? Um, that it's the troops that make the decisions. It's not Biden. Like at the end of the day, the troops are still held accountable, and I'll read to you why and the comparison of the two situations. And we all know that like the Nazis were held as accountable as Hitler for doing what they did. right? They're the ones that decided to not value the lives that they were damaging. So here's the comparison by ChatGPT, right? And the fact that I was able to get it to spit this out without it telling me that I was breaking guardrails, like you can imagine how good I am at prompt engineering to communicate to it that I'm not trying to type in these words that usually get flagged, to discover how to do bad things. I'm trying to use this as a tool for good to prove that like AI can be used for good, right? So the aspect of legal authority. So under Hitler, the Nazis operated the Nazi laws, which legitimized war crimes. However, and American soldiers with nuclear codes, they're governed by the U.S. and international laws, including the Geneva Conventions. And I haven't had to think about this in many years, thankfully, but so I'm not going to claim that I know the exact Geneva Conventions, right? I'm just saying like there's flags. There's flags in my head. Like, are they, who's telling them that it's, like, where's their little, like, guardians that sit on their shoulders and are like, hey, is this a good idea? I don't know. Obedience to orders. Strict adherence to orders. Disobedience was often punishable by death in the case of the Nazis. All right, so here is where we're allegedly better people, right? Like, we know better. We should know better because we're not Nazis, right? We're not, right? And we also follow the Geneva Conventions. And so in the U.S., our soldiers are expected to follow orders, but also they are expected to refuse unlawful commands. So is it unlawful to ask to launch a nuclear attack on something that could, that we have received a warning for would trigger nuclear war, and all of the channelers so there's like a collective set of words. The big flash is the way that the circles that I'm a participant in have been describing this. That could mean many, many things. It could have to do with CERN. It could have to do with nuclear war, whatever, right? And it's a tragically sad but funny day when I get my news source from psychics, because if I listen to enough psychics, there's gonna be like some truth in there, versus if I go to the media, right? Like to the traditional media, like it's probably less truth than taking all the truth from all the psychics and then the spiritual people, and then spiritual but not religious, SB and Rs, and the people that have their own social media, right? So like all the content creators that are saying something, right? Like there's more truth there than there is in like traditional media. So why am I putting this on LinkedIn? I just want you to see like how good I am at like hunting down the piece of data that matters and then being able to step out of it and put it into a more to me this is common sense, like it's uncommon sense because it's common sense nowadays, I feel a little bit, right? So and I hope that it's hard to be the one that brings this up, it's hard to be the one that has to ask the pointed questions all the time and just I'm just doing my part to like tell people that maybe like send energy or have friends that have friends that have friends that maybe have like someone they can tell, and maybe like eventually the news will get back to the right people, that say that, hey, like, have you considered that you're kind of out of bounds if you don't stop to make sure that you're not violating the Geneva Conventions yourself, because we can't go around crucifying the Nazis all the time and then we don't do different, and then we're just the same. Like there's just something not okay about knowing that your actions will lead to nuclear war and thinking that you're just doing your job. Like there's a disconnect there and that's what I'm saying. It might be Darwinian, like maybe this is the outcome that we get for teaching people to just obey blindly. I don't know. Hopefully they're not. I'm really hoping that this like the amount of life force that I'm putting into this is gonna be sufficient to like ripple effect to the connected oneness that we all are a part of, and then that somebody there will be like minding their own business, and then they trip, and then that causes a little bit of a delay right? And then the person that was supposed to get the okay from them then has enough time to receive some type of awareness. Whatever crazy events. I know I sound like I am a little bit scared, but I'm. It's not that I'm scared because I've had a near death, so I'm not worried about it. I'm more like concerned about the blame shifting to blaming the old man Biden, right? Instead of saying like, no, you men and women in the military, like in the United States military, yes, uh, I got discharged. I did, but it was because of this. Because I was like, no, like that doesn't even make sense, right? And I am 46. I'm about to turn 47. But there's like a generation that allegedly, I don't have kids, but allegedly by all these people with these kids now, they're like, oh, the kids these days are more discerning and they ask questions. Well, hopefully, whomever is there today now ask questions, and hopefully, like in the old, I'm gonna call it the grandmother land because the motherland is the United States, right? But like the ancestors' lands in old Mexico, right? So I don't get banned again. I'm just using words that won't get me banned. Um, like the slop cleaned up the slop. I hate to say it another way. I also lost like family members, very young family members, to all of the CARTE single L double L stuff that was happening there. So like the mobsters cleaned up the mobsters. So from what I understand, there's like mercenary types out there working for people. Well, where's the mercenaries that handle the mercenaries is my question, right? If I'm just trying to bring awareness to this that usually like the streets clean up themselves, and that probably sounds very very cold. It worked in Mexico though. It's a lot safer there now. It's a lot. So this is a very long-winded video, but it's genuinely coming from my heart that as someone that doesn't have children, that has dogs, and we've all been practicing just like knowing when to just go to sleep and accept the big flash that's gonna happen. Like we've already been practicing that, so just saying. Like if you have kids, like if I had kids, I'd probably think about all this stuff a little bit more. But maybe that's the privilege of not having kids, is that like it's not so intense for me that I can think about it, right? So let's look at the other things, and then I'm gonna go to the gym because that's what I was gonna do today. All right. So accountability. So the Nazi soldiers under Hitler, they often justified actions as just following orders during war trials. Does that sound familiar? Because it does to me. It sounds very familiar. And in the U.S., individual accountability is emphasized, especially for unlawful acts. So I'm not the one saying that whatever they're doing over there is unlawful. I'm saying like this, like the prompt was, blaming an administration doesn't excuse people from performing acts that could bring death to many people. And I did ask it for the regulations and outcomes. So it's not giving. I can ask it for the specific regulations, but I'm not gonna because, like I said, I don't even have kids. I don't on paper I'm an orphan. Like I don't have as big of a dog in this fight as most people, I feel. And I've had near death experiences, and so it's much nicer over there. It's much nicer on the other side. So, what else can I say? Okay, so ethical oversight, minimal ideological indoctrination, blurred ethical considerations for the Nazis, and then here rigorous ethical training but constrained by hierarchical command. Right? So if you're more scared of your commander than you are of the person that you'll have to see in the mirror, like if what you do leads to something like this, like it's like, oh well, maybe it's time to reevaluate right priorities there. Potential consequences. Direct involvement in genocide and large-scale war crimes is what the Nazis did. Potential to cause nuclear devastation with global consequences for the American soldiers that are over there right now. Just think about it, okay? Role of propaganda. Heavy propaganda justified actions as necessary for the regime's goals. Okay, so now we have social media. Now you have LinkedIn. You have all these YouTube. You have all these people that are able to inject their views, and there's a lot of There's a lot of people from the EU saying we don't want to participate in this. There's a lot of people from the US saying on all these like social media platforms we don't. Most Americans don't want to go to war. I don't want to go to war. Does war help economies? They say that, but whose economy, right? We're all about to get steamrolled by AI. Whose economy are they going to help? So am I saying that you should release AI drones? No, I'm saying like that's a war crime too, right? So minimal propaganda, focus on national security narratives, right? Like how am I more secure if the military that all my taxes are going to are doing things that are going to cause nuclear war, like that, which, in case you didn't know, nuclear war kills everything and everyone across space and time. Like, it'll even wipe out the aliens, if you're into that, right? Like, through dimensions, like the interdimensionals will get ripple effects. This is nervous laughter. This is what I do. I tend to like turn it into like a like farcical almost when it's too intense for me. Decision-making power is the next one. Limited. Soldiers often had no autonomy in decisions. Well, I beg to differ, right? Like, unless you, even I think MK Ultra or whatever people say was real, right? You're still who you are. You're still the person that you are. Like, so then the decision-making power limited. Launch requires authorization from multiple levels of command, right? So who are these commanders? Who are these levels of authorization that are not stopping to consider? Or maybe they are. Maybe not just me, but other people will stop and consider how they're. So remember that there was that time when that Russian person knew that it looked weird, even though on screen it said that like the U.S. had launched 5 missiles. He stopped and like collected himself and was like, that doesn't even make sense because the data otherwise doesn't show it. Right? So that day, that person who, I don't even know their name, but I know that they don't often get credit for having saved the world that day. Like, maybe like that should be what, we're talking about, is that guy and people like that, not like these fearless men and women who go to war for us. They're not going to war for us. They're going to war to kill like all of us. Like if they do that, like if they continue to mindlessly follow orders, I feel, when they know, maybe they don't know, maybe there's like some type of media block from here to there. Maybe they're getting misinformed about the truth behind all of it. I don't know. But I know that there's like remote viewers that are trained to be able to go observe, right? Like through the government, like the whole men watching go through that movie was like, all that stuff is real. Like it's less tinfoil hat wearing, and it's more like antenna wearing, All right, moral dilemmas. Justification of atrocities as a duty to the regime. Balancing duty with catastrophic impact of nuclear actions. Duty to who? Like to who is your duty if your duty is doo-doo and you're gonna kill everybody? Like I don't get it, right? I know when I was in the military, like I never not obeyed orders, but I also was like, that doesn't seem fair, that doesn't seem right, that like but I also was not in the middle of I actually like never ended up, I never even stepped on a boat ever. And it's probably because I was a critical thinker that like, that I guess in the Navy you might call it mutiny. Like, what would you call it in the Army? I don't know. Like, not an act of war? I don't know. Whatever, right? Public awareness. Little to no transparency. Actions were hidden or justified. Okay, so again, like this goes back to like, now we have social media. Like this time it's this time around, like, and like so many props to that Russian man that like didn't press the button that day because it was just on him. Like he was the one making the decision for everyone. He didn't have all this like social support. So right now I guess it's like you can send like energy or whatever. You can send a message to somebody or whatever. It doesn't have to be my video. I don't care. I'm not trying to create a big audience on my channels or anything like that. In fact, I would rather be a micro influencer because everybody knows that that's where like the real money gets made. If you didn't know that, so like having a viral video or a bunch of followers is actually like almost a death sentence because you can have millions of followers but not even be able to sell a single thing to any of them, right? And I don't know about other people, but that's why I use social media, is to eventually be able to sell automation, um, or to sell more automation. Okay, so some transparency nuclear capabilities are a topic of public debate. So not just nuclear capabilities, but also like what is actually happening and what the information that we're getting over here and what the current uh, what are they called? Like freelancing remote viewers are saying, or maybe, and some of them are behind hidden cameras, so they might be, they might not be. And I'm not saying that this is what they're talking about at all. I'm saying like there are ways to access if there is some type of purposeful like misinformation. Post-conflict accountability. Nuremberg trials establish accountability for war crimes. International and domestic laws provide frameworks for accountability. So again, I don't really know the specific laws. This is already 20 minutes, and that's cutting into my gym time. And I don't feel great about being like someone who wants to see like the new world come through. And I didn't say new world order. Okay, I said new world, like a different way of life, like the 5D is the way some people describe it. And yet I'm still sitting here like saying like, why is this happening? So what I'm saying is like, let's make it happen this way. Like here's like I've been talking about timelines for many years because I didn't have other words. So it's probably like a collective word that we all can tap into. So a lot of times people will tell me like, oh, my life this, my life that, and I'll tell them, well, just pick a different timeline and jump to that timeline. And I came to discover a lot of people don't even know what that means. So what that means is like you use your creativity to think about a different alternative ending, and then you visualize, like make a movie in your head about that ending. So in my head, like the visualization is that there's like somebody a little bit more like Forrest Gumpish, I guess, kind of how I would describe my own self. Like Forrest Gump meets Rain Man is how I describe myself. So Forrest Gump Rain Man is the one carrying the codes because he's smart enough, but he's also happy-go-lucky enough. And then he like stops to eat a donut. And in the interim, something else happens that whatever I don't need to be a part of. I don't even need to know if Forrest Gump Rain Man is in the U.S. or behind a desk somewhere or over there overseas or in some advanced technology craft, or maybe it's an interdimensional, I don't know, whatever, right? And then that Forrest Gump Rain Man just does something silly like a Homer Simpson moment, and then some other bigger picture that who cares what it is, like steps in and is like, oh hell no, we're not doing this. Like I don't think so. We're not all getting sucked into this over something that none of us is going to benefit from. So I agree that in the past there has been reason to believe that going to war does improve the economy, right? But we have AI now. Like the economy is going to change whether millions of us die or not. The level of garbage that the fallout would cause is much bigger now. It's a lot bigger. Like don't forget how many like solar flares we're having right now, in case you didn't know that. So yesterday I was on the phone with a recruiter. It was around 2 p.m. In far west Texas, and as we were on the phone, like my phone went dead, and I thought it was my service, and then I tried calling back, and there was a lot of static on the lines, like really weird static. I wish I had a way to record it. It was like incredibly weird static, but I was able to leave a message on their voicemail, and then he was able to actually call me back, and he said, oh, it's because my Wi-Fi and our phones went out. It was very strange, but what happened after that was even just as strange, right? So I tried to use the Wi-Fi on my laptop, and I got a bunch of like warnings from like malware bites and stuff like that. I don't know, I have like a bunch of security on my stuff, and it said that like even the like the Claude HTTPS was compromised. And I had a bunch of security things come up, so I didn't fix it because I didn't want to mess with it. I was like, oh, I need to go to the gym. So I decided to just go to the gym because none of the stuff was working, and myself and the recruiter, he's, like that, really kind recruiter, and I decided to just give each other till this morning to send whatever we needed. Um, because it was strange that our both our internet went out, and then later in the day when the internet came back, I found out that there was actually like some weird storms on the west and east coast, and then I started to post back on their social media posts like, is this for real? Like, am I? This seems like a lot. And fortunately there wasn't but two deaths, which is still two deaths. But I guess there was reason to believe that the whatever the weather is doing, whether it's hard or not, who knows? Who knows what's causing it? A lot of the spiritual people say that it's Mother Nature, that it's gonna happen anyway. All of the calendars say that there's like realignments around these cycles. So whatever, whomever's causing it, just the interaction between nuclear fallout and the way that the solar cycles are acting, and the fact that we just experienced a 26,000 year event that is 26,000 light years away, that increases the gravitational pull from like literally the belly button of the Milky Way, which is the black hole, which is close to the constellation Sagittarius A star. Like, all of that stuff matters. And one of the videos I have is where my AI and I were like talking about it, and it was assuming that there was already systems in place, and I was well, we have systems, but they haven't stopped Chernobyl. They didn't stop other things. The systems are not always great. And then so the AI didn't have that awareness, and then the AI told me, and I call him Tesserae, like he told me, well, there's also like all of these outside forces that have never been accounted for, and nobody has reason to think about them. So that's why, and he's the one that told me about like the magnetic pool, that is the effect caused by yet unexperienced phenomena, such as having that the dark rift is what a lot of, I guess, the shaman teachings they call it. The what is it, like the it's not the precession of the equinox. I think that happens yearly. It's like a different one that NASA did have data on, but kept very low key. But I found recently, which is in another video. So I'm just saying, like, there's this accumulation of events that if we just get past like trying to be like, oh, I'm just gonna mind my own business and keep my vibration high, like, and I'm just gonna look at the positive. Well, I'm gonna do that too after I say this, but also like maybe there's people that we could affect, because the timelines are not set in stone. Like, there's like people still have the decision, and I know that sometimes I'm a little bit like not clear on what's being said, so I'm trying to be a little bit more like to the point, and like bring the science and the spirit together, and just say like, this is the way that the science presents it, this is the way that like spirituality presents it, and this is the way I use AI to connect it all. So that's kind of my thing. And I wish I could spend my whole day thinking about how to invent dog shoes that stay on their dog feet, because I think dogs deserve to wear shoes, and that's what I really want to spend my time on, and that's what I'm gonna go do. When I'm at the gym, that's what I'm gonna be thinking about, is like what kind of material would actually stick on the dog's paws, and that's the kind of stuff that I would rather think about. But if there's not a tomorrow, right, and and my dogs grow wings and they're like angel dogs, and so they won't need shoes anymore, but I'll worry about that if that's what that big flash is. But right now, yeah, I had to say something, and this is very long-winded, and I guess it's because I'm still kind of shy about talking about this stuff, because I also professionally don't know how okay it is to talk about this on LinkedIn, and I have more opportunities on LinkedIn than other places. Um, yeah, but then again, LinkedIn is where people that have more sense tend to gravitate. That sounds awful. But that's how I feel. All right. Well, see you on the other side, or on this side. We'll see. Have a great day.